Okay. How's everybody doing? Good. And we believe it's only a month away. Gosh, after all this year, time has flown by. Okay, so today we're going to discuss the land tour, which is why we just invited the people who have booked that. You may have a lot of questions on the cruise, and I understand that. We can answer some of those today. But we'll also be sending out an email in regards to like everything you'll need for the cruise as well, for all of those people that weren't on the call today. And if need be, we might have to do one more Zoom with everybody. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how many questions I'm getting. If people are still confused, then we'll gladly do that. But otherwise, let's start. I'm just kind of flipping through papers, so if you don't see me looking at you, that's why. David's going to be sharing his screen because he and I put together like a PowerPoint with some important topics. But let's start with the ever-loving, ugly topic of luggage, okay? Because it is truly an ugly topic, right? So the bottom line is you can take one piece of checked luggage and one carry-on this land tour. So my suggestion is to do the same for the cruise. That way you are not overpacking and worried about having to go store luggage at the airport. I know it's tricky to do. I know some of you have not traveled around the world and this is all very new to you, but it really can be done. And that's a tough statement from me because I like taking clothes. Okay, I'm a woman. I like taking extra stuff, but I have done several tours around the world that were 2 and 3 weeks long, and it can be done and you can still look fabulous. There's just a way to pack where maybe you take a couple pairs of pants and you wear them with several different tops. You just kind of got to mix and match and pack your suitcase wisely when it comes to rolling your clothes versus folding them. There's all kinds of tricks and habits and things that you can do, and you can make it work. So that's my biggest suggestion, because if you take more, okay, you're gonna have to store it at the airport. And although we technically have time, there is a risk that we're taking for you having to go put your stuff in a locker, okay? What's gonna happen is the morning that you port in Sydney, I have requested from the cruise line that your group, okay, the 80 people, be let off the ship first. I don't know if that's going to happen, okay, but they are aware that you have a flight to catch, as do hundreds of other people, if not thousands. So, because you have a motor coach that's going to wait there and take all of you directly to the airport, I'm hoping that helps the situation and that they do truly get you off of the ship first. Okay, so jumping backwards a little bit, if you had an area to request on your app, I don't know if you did this, David, did it ask you what time you were getting off the ship or what time you preferred to get off?
They ask for flight times when you're going back. So I think that's where you might want to put that next flight in.
Yeah. So if you've completed your registration with the cruise line, or if you haven't, either way, you can go back into it and you can adjust that. Okay. So make sure to put in your flight time, and we're going to give you a copy of this, but the flight time is at 11:30 a.m. Okay. That's what time you all are flying up to Cairns with this tour company. This is a tricky thing too. This tour company will not give me the name of the airline because it's a contracted group flight. Okay. I personally know off the record that it's Jetstar. So if you want to look that up, be my guest. Okay. If you get there and it's something different, I will be in dire shock. But they just can't tell me for legal purposes because they have certain contracts with certain airlines, but there's only so many flights that go up to Cairns out of Sydney. So according to the times, I just have figured that out. It's called Jetstar. Okay. So if you need to put that in to your Princess cruise information, that's what you do. It's Jetstar, and it leaves at 11:30 a.m. and it'll arrive in Cairns at 1:30. Okay. So anyways, you're going to get off the ship first, I hope, by 8 a.m. because the motor coach is going to be down in the parking lot waiting for you. But when you disembark a cruise ship, there's thousands of people and you have to go down and you have to find your luggage. So that too, I hope that they're going to have all of your luggage in a certain area. Usually they try and do that for groups, especially ones that are getting on certain motor coaches. Because even if it's not our group motor coach, Princess has all kinds of motor coaches. They are ready to take people to the airport. So your luggage gets put in a certain area. Okay, so I'm assuming that because you're all going to be on the same flight and the same disembarkation time, they will give you all the same colored tags and your bags will be in one particular area. Okay, so once you get to that motor coach, if everyone were to bring an extra piece of luggage, it won't even fit on the motor coach. Okay, the motor coaches only hold up to, I think it's 42 people each. Okay, or 44, something like that. So the carriage underneath only allows basically for one big bag per person. Your carry-ons you take on board with you, right? So again, if too many of you bring too many extra pieces of luggage, you may have to find your own way over to the airport and then make your own way in and find the storage. So this can become an issue and a problem, right? If there's too many of you guys that are too late, or if you get to the airport, even if 10 or 20 of you have an extra bag, you can now get to the airport. Now half of the group has to go find the luggage area. That could be an issue too, because you have to check in 2 hours prior for a flight, which would be 9:30, right? So they're doing their best. Globus is obviously going to pick you up, take you to the airport. It's about a half-hour drive, if not a little less, from the cruise port to Sydney Airport. So they want to do their best to get the group over there by 9:30. The other thing is you're not all checking in individually. Now that they've picked you up, you are part of this group and your tour guide is going to take care of you from there. So she's going to check you all in at the airport. Okay, so it's kind of important that you stay together as a group. So again, back to my point, if you can all do your best to take one large bag and one carry-on, plus maybe your little purse or a laptop bag, something like that, that's going to be your best bet. Okay. I understand if you have to have an extra, maybe you can take it with. Okay. You're going to have to pay, remember, at the airport for any overage on weight. I know I've sent this out, and again, I will send it again just for reference. Your checked bag can only be 44 pounds. Anything over that, you pay $14 a pound. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but remember, we got the flight for a very good price. It was $385. So paying the extra $85, $86 each way, it's not that big of a deal, really. It's just something we have to deal with. Okay, so any weight over that, I'm assuming most of you are going to have a 50-pound bag because that's what the International allows. So again, the extra 6 pounds you will pay each way. I know somebody had that question, and yes, you pay each way. Okay, so up to Cairns and back to Sydney on each flight. Same thing applies on your carry-on. Okay, they only allow up to 15 pounds. So if you're bringing something that's really heavy, they're going to charge you for the extra on that too. Okay, just be conscious of that. I think I recently sent out an email in regards to any CPAP machines, anything that you have to carry with, that is part of your weight. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm very sorry about that, but some of these other airlines, international, they just have really strict rules. So,
I was gonna say that's for this flight, but not necessarily the flight getting over to New Zealand.
right. So for your international flight, remember, I think we said you need to call them directly and find out your own information because everybody's on different airlines. Find out their rules and regulations as far as any weight limits. Um, Generally, here, most airlines, in the US, even the international one, they don't charge you for a CPAP machine. But again, it's up to you to check on that, okay? Or just be prepared if they say, this is going to cost such and such. The other thing that sometimes happens, again, if you're not used to traveling, sometimes when you get or you go to walk on board and you walk down the jetway, sometimes they have not enough room for carry-ons or overhead luggage, and they will say, is there anybody willing to put their bag underneath? We'll take it down and we'll put it with the checked luggage for free. One thing I want you to keep in mind is if you have medications and stuff in that bag that you need during flight, you have to immediately say, no, you can't take my bag. Okay. Or you need to make sure and get out what it is you need. Okay. I'm not saying they're going to lose your bag or anything like that, but again, if you forget and if you have something in that carry-on and then you say, oh yeah, no problem, it'll be up in the cabin the whole time, I don't need it, you might forget and need something in there. So that's very important to kind of think about that. Okay. Or maybe if it's medications and stuff, keep it in a little purse or something that's right with you at all times. Okay. All right. Any questions on luggage? Yes. Can you unmute her, David? Or
They should be able to unmute themselves, but
oh, can you unmute yourself, Marie?
If you push your space bar, you should be able to talk.
yeah.
So I'll ask a question since it's already talking. I believe one of the emails said no wheels on the carry-on for the coach. Is that correct?
Okay, so let's get to that. So if you've never done an escorted tour before, escorted meaning you're on a motor coach somewhere in the world and they're doing everything for you, right? You just are on the tour and it's all set up, it's all pre-planned. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're called an escorted tour. So motor coaches, they don't have the same upper space room as an airplane. When you get on the airplanes, you can stick your wheels in first, right? It's a nice big cabin. You can stick that piece of luggage up there. If you've been on a motor coach before, it has about half the space, if that. So that's why they say no roll wheeled bags allowed. Okay. Because they just won't fit up there. If it's a duffel bag or something, you can usually squish it, or your purse or your jackets, you can shove stuff up there. But a wheeled carry-on, you cannot. Okay. So that's kind of another issue. Yes, they really suggest that you bring a carry-on that's not wheeled. I know that's difficult because that bag gets heavy, right? And we're tromping through airports and it's kind of tricky. So I'm going to tell you off the record, and I will never repeat this, okay? Off the record, sure, bring your rolled carry-on. Can I guarantee it's going to go on the bus with you? No, I cannot. I have personally done it numerous times everywhere through Europe. And what ends up happening is I have to put sometimes my rolled bag right under my feet in the bus. So does it make for a comfortable sitting situation? No, it does not. 9 times out of 10, the driver was able to take my rolled bag and put it underneath. And I gave him a nice tip. Okay. Now, the good part is you guys are not going to be on that motor coach very often. Okay. You got one little trip from the airport to the Cairns hotel that you have to deal with that bag. And then you got one trip back to the airport with that bag. Okay. The next day, you're going to be going to the Great Barrier Reef. You won't have your bag with you. It'll be in the hotel. And the next day, you're going to Kuranda. You don't have to deal with it. And same thing in Sydney. Once you get it to the hotel, you're good. right? So really you have two little situations to deal with, getting to the hotels and back. So if you can handle it for that short drive of putting your bag underneath your feet, or being really nice and asking your tour drivers like, hey, sorry, I had to bring a rolled bag, I'm traveling across the world, can you fit it under there? Sometimes they'll say, when we have to do this, it's an extra $3 a person. I don't know what they're going to say because it's different around the world. Their rules, and I get it, because they have so many people on the bus, they have to give rules like that, because if every single person were to bring a rolled bag, that's 2 per person. They just don't fit on the motor coach. Okay. So the other worst case, absolute worst case scenario in my mind I can think is if every single person brings a rolled suitcase, maybe a few of you might have to catch a cab and take 10 bags for everybody. Maybe a couple of the guys could say, you know what, I'll take all the luggage. I'll call a van, I'll call an Uber and get a little SUV over here. We'll take all the luggage. So I don't want to tell you don't bring your rolled bag, because it's almost impossible, right? You need that rolled bag going through airports. But just be patient. And when it comes time for the land tour, and getting on the motor coach, and situations could come about, just everybody work together. Like I said, if somebody has to rent a little car, or a quick little Uber to take all the luggage to help the driver out, maybe if there's not enough room, then you guys can do that. Right.
Yeah. We did that in the New York trip, right? When our bus that was supposed to take us from our hotel to the cruise port, when they got there, the bus driver then informed us that the understorage luggage, there was several of the areas of understorage luggage that were broken and he couldn't get into. That
Yeah,
was
exactly.
that was just, and so we got creative, with that. Probably, I don't know if Globus had led that, but we got creative. I know Dixie's on this. I mean, we got an assembly line, and we actually loaded luggage into. We had back seats in the coach, and and then we had some people that actually took Ubers over there, to the cruise port, and so as a group we got creative, but it was just like, and then Lindy had her words with the bus company later, but yeah, so. And I think if you look at the dimensions too, I think in the stuff that Lindy sent out with the dimensions, that's the other thing to think about, because even if it has wheels and it meets the dimensions, you might be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got unmuted finally. This is Marita and Eric. And that's what my question was about, because on the carry-on thing, I understand you said 15 pounds. Well, that's fine. You can weigh it. But when I go to buy the luggage, in the notes, it said that the carry-on can only be 12 inches by 11 inches by 6 inches. Well, that's so small, I can hardly find a purse that size. So I'm wondering what is the correct dimensions? Are there any dimensions, or is it only the weight? And then you also mentioned you could maybe bring a small purse. So I'm confused now what I'm supposed to purchase, because I can't weigh 15 pounds when I go to this luggage store and I want to buy a carry-on. I've seen shoulder bags that they're longer than 12 inches that, can go over your shoulder. Is that what you mean for carry-on? Or what are we defining a carry-on other than 15 pounds?
You know what? They put these in centimeters, so I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, when I looked at the centimeter calculation, it came out the same thing, the 12 inches by 11 by 6. But that's so small for a carry-on, it's almost impossible to find anything that small.
Oh, well, okay, wait a minute. So those dimensions, that was just for the motor coach carry-on. So that's where I was stating that, yeah, your rolled bags are bigger than that. They won't fit above. So that's when they were giving the 12 by 11 by 6 dimensions, that's basically like a small duffel bag. So that's what they mean. Okay. Your carry-on is generally anywhere from 18 to 21 inches high with rollers. So again,
okay, we can't, but there's no rollers. So I'm buying something with no rollers. So now you're saying it can be 18 to 20 inches tall, not only 12.
What I'm going to tell you off the record is don't stress over that. Just buy a little duffel bag and it can squish up there. again, it's about think of it about half the size of what the bins are on an airplane. So if it's just a normal overnight duffel bag, it can squeeze up there.
Yeah,
It can,
but like a hip pack that you wear around your hip, for example, you can that the straps are going to be a little bigger than 12 inches. Okay.
they're not, I can tell you, the bus is not going to look at every single person and measure everything. They're just going to tell you whatever you take on board, it's either going to go up above your head or it's going to go below your feet.
Yeah, you're not allowed to keep anything in your lap, like your purse.
The,
With passport, you can't.
But no, on the motor coach, yes, you can have whatever you want. I tell you, between my shopping and what I do, I have sat with stuff, every which direction around me on a motor coach. It just happens, you're traveling, and that they understand that, but they want to give you these dimensions ahead of time so that not every single person shows up with tons of stuff. So they have to give you some type of restriction.
Yeah.
But just don't stress over it too much. If you just bring, whatever bag you have to bring, whether if it has rollers, be prepared to either ask the bus driver if he can take it underneath and give him a nice tip, or put it under your feet if you can, which again, on most motor coaches, you can put that roller right there. Your legs might have to bend and sit on top of it, but again, it's only from the airport to the hotel real quick. Okay. Otherwise it can be stuffed above your head, if it's jackets and a duffel bag or something like that, or a laptop bag, whatever, your purse, all that other stuff. Okay. Is that it on that? Did we answer everything? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Also, and thinking about paying for that, be prepared to just use a credit card at the counter. Okay, a lot of people have asked me about money. I just happened to go to Europe recently, and for 2.5 weeks, I did not need one single cash anywhere. I didn't have to use cash anywhere. I used my credit card for literally every single thing. So when you travel around the world, you can pretty much get away with not having a lot of cash on you. Now, if you're one that doesn't like to do that, I understand. You can surely get money in advance. You can go to your banks, and sometimes they'll give you, they'll exchange it for you without a fee. Most places you have a fee. So if you go to the airport, like at LAX or something, and you can exchange money there if you want. Sometimes I recommend to maybe do it with another couple or something, because you don't have to pay as big a fee, right? Let's say you each wanted $200, then you just split whatever the fee is. And the fee is not bad. It's usually, I don't know, sometimes between 10 and $20 total. Just depends on how much you're exchanging. And the girl at the counter will usually say, if you do another $50, you're going to save yourself money. So they kind of help you on the different exchange rates. But don't do a lot. If you just want a little bit on you for tipping, that's fine. But remember, they're not real big on tips over there. So it's not something you have to worry about. Unless you're in a restaurant and you feel like you've been giving really good service, you're welcome to do that. But in general, Australia is not, you don't have to tip on anything. So if you just want a little bit of money on you, I would just maybe do $100, $200, just to have on you per couple or what, but not a lot. Okay.
Lindy?
Right. Yes.
Lindy? This is Randy Gibson.
Hi,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
I
hear
just
you.
got one quick question.
Okay.
My understanding, though, if we're going to travel with just a small what you call a carry-on, but that would be our luggage we normally would check anyway. So the bus will have under the bus seats storage under the bus for those kind of bags, and just your little carry-on bag when you're sitting down, which you could keep in your lap if you wanted to. Is that a correct statement?
Yes. But see, the average person is going to have a big piece of luggage that weighs 50 pounds plus their roller. So yeah, you just have the one.
When I used to travel in Europe on business, I would go 2 weeks with just my carry-on and a little backpack, and that's all I needed. Yeah. So you can do it easily. So, anyway,
Randy, there's no easily about that at all.
That's all we have.
There's no easily about that. I tell you, like Don said at the beginning, the whole packing thing is like my big anxiety piece of this whole thing.
We started talking about it 2 months ago.
She won't let me set up. I want to set up a staging area for packing in my house, so I can just have everything laid out nice, like little flat people and everything. She won't let me.
You know what?
It's
I will give you an example, ladies and well, and gentlemen. I do that. It may sound funny, but I actually do that at least a week or two before. I'll take one of my bedrooms or my bed and I'll lay everything out, and you kind of match, girls. If we need to put one pair of jeans here, let's do 3 or 4 tops with them. And then what you do is you take a picture of all of that. So you can remember, what did I plan to wear, and that way when you're on board ship, you're not saying, oh shoot, I just wore 3 things in a row that I had planned for the whole trip. You can kind of mix and match. But if you take a picture of it in advance, that helps. And you know what else that is good for? If your luggage ever gets lost and you have to turn it in to the insurance company, you have a picture of everything that was in there, especially if it has tags or if you have receipts, you can turn that in. So keep that in mind. Okay. Always a good idea to kind of have a known thought of what was in my luggage in case it got lost. And if you had to replace things, you kind of know, what shoes I brought, or how many pants did I bring? Did I bring a jacket or sweater? So yeah, so try that. That might help. And roll all of your items. You can get a lot more in your suitcase if you roll stuff nice and tight. Okay. All right. What's our next topic? Let's see. Let's start with the land tour itself. Okay. When you get to Cairns on day 1, I will resend out the itinerary to everybody too. I did that way back when you chose to sign up for the tour. You should have the daily itinerary. Nothing's changed on it. Okay.
You want me to pull up the itinerary
that would
while
be
you
great.
talk through it?
Please. So day 1, basically what's going to happen is you're going to get off the ship. You're going to get on the motor coach. They're going to take you over to the airport. Your tour guide will check you in, and you will all fly up to Cairns. You'll disembark off the plane, and they will take you over to the hotel. You'll have a little bit of free time because, again, your flight gets in about 1:30. And then once you get to the hotel and get checked in, the tour guide will tell you what time the dinner is. I'm guessing it'll be around 6:37. Okay, but you do have dinner that evening at a local restaurant. Okay, which again they will take you, and you're in their hands once you get there. Okay, the second day is the excursion out to the Great Barrier Reef. So everybody's invited to do that. You have a choice to either snorkel. You can take the semi-submersible watercraft tour, or you can attend a presentation by a marine biologist. Okay. And then later that afternoon, you get transferred back to your hotel, and there's some free time the rest of the day. There's no dinner or anything included that night. You are on your own if you want to go explore, go find a nice restaurant, anything like that. The next slide, David, you can go to. The next day is the excursion to Curanda. Okay, so again, you'll get on the bus and they'll take you there. That's a full day tour. Okay, there's lots of different things going on once you arrive there. You'll have some free time to explore, and there's a couple different areas there that you can visit. In other words, there's like an Aboriginal craft area. You can go have lunch if you want. There's different art galleries. There's a koala gardens. If you want to hold a koala, you can go stand in line and do that. There's a couple different things. This is nothing that you have to sign up for in advance. Okay. They'll just explain to you, the tour guide, again, once you're there, what your free time is and where you can go, what you can do. So don't worry about having to sign up for any of that in advance. That's all included. All right. And then they'll bring you back and you have, again, a dinner included at a local restaurant, okay, as a group. So she'll always keep you informed on the times and what's going on daily. Okay. The next morning is ugly because the flight is very early at 6:40, which means they're going to be picking you guys up nice and early. Probably around 4 a.m., I'm guessing. So that won't be fun, but no getting around it because they wanted to get you back to Sydney nice and early. You'll get back into Sydney around 10:40 in the morning. And again, board the bus. I don't know if they're going to take you straight over to the hotel to check in, or if you're going to go right on your city tour. They may do that. I'm not sure exactly. But you have a full city tour where they're going to take you through the Rocks area, Bondi Beach, and of course the Opera House. That's the big excursion for the day. You'll probably be done around lunchtime, and then that is free time. From there on out, you'll have the rest of the day at leisure. So if you wanted to hit up a nice restaurant in Sydney or go to one of the rooftop bars, something like that, that'd be a great day to do it that evening. Okay. And then the next day, next slide, is the Blue Mountains Day Tour. So again, that's a full day tour where you're on the motor coach and they'll take you up to the Blue Mountains. It's all included. You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner included that day. Once you get back, the dinner is at the hotel that evening. Okay. And then the last day is completely free up until about 6 p.m. So you have the whole day to do any type of excursion or entertainment that you're interested in. I know a big question is, what can we do? I'm still waiting on an answer to see if they're going to give us any optional tours in advance. My suggestion would be, if there's something that you want to see or do that day, book it now. If you found something on the internet, book it. If you need help doing something, let me know. I'll see if I can help you. As an example, a lot of people like to climb the Sydney Bridge. I've done that before. It's amazing. I would suggest you do that now. You make your reservation now. You can go right to the website. I think it's bridgeclimb.com, and you can reserve your time slot for that. It's usually about a 2 or 3 hour experience. But that is something that would sell out. So you would want to book that now and not wait. If you're just going to say, hey, what's a good beach to go to, or where's a good restaurant or something like that, or there's a good museum, then that's nothing you have to do in advance. You can simply ask the tour guide, right when you meet her, when you're in Cairns, you can discuss Sydney ahead of time, and she'll give you some ideas on where to go, what to do that day. But if there's anything important you want to do, I know a lot of you were interested in maybe seeing a show at the Opera House. Those have to be booked in advance. You have to go right onto the website and book that in advance. Okay, don't wait on that for the Opera House. Okay, so whatever you do that day, you'll want to be back to the hotel probably no later than 5:30 because our dinner cruise is at 6:30 p.m. that night. So if you want to make a note of that to yourself, everybody write that down. On day 6, which is March 18th, it's your very last night, you finish it with one of those really nice dinner cruises through the Sydney Harbor. And that's going to start at 6:30. So I don't know if that means they're picking you up at 6:30 or if they're going to pick you up at 6. She just said it's at 6:30. So you'll want to be back.
Yeah, and in the chat, just a couple things there. I mean, with the bridge, someone asked about, do you know if they have basically, if you're over 75 years, do you need a doctor's sort of authorization or anything like that?
Yes, you do. Yeah, you have to actually get, I believe they might have the form online that you can take to the doctor to sign off on. But yes, if you're 75 or older, you have to get released from your doctor to say that you're physically fit to do the climb. Any other questions? Nope.
Someone had something about Agates, the hotel's name. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, the hotel in Sydney? It should be the Swiss Hotel. Swiss Hotel, not H, not hotel, but hotel. Swiss Hotel. They haven't told me yet that it's changed. Sometimes with these group tours, they have so many rooms blocked at different hotels that once in a blue moon, they have to switch it to a different one. They haven't said that we've been switched. So if we haven't, then that is the hotel we're at. It's called Swiss Hotel. And it's just right in downtown Sydney. It's a nice 4-star hotel. Okay. So moving on to the very last day, March 19th. You can all make note of this. The transfer times are going to be at 6:30 and 8:30. Okay. You do not have a choice. It strictly depends on your flight time and what time your flight leaves. You are all already pre-assigned one of those scheduled departures because the majority of you leave around 10. So you're going to be on the 6:30. And then if you leave, I believe at 12 noon or after, you are on the 8:30 departure. Now, I know there are several of you that have a 2 o'clock flight or later. Unfortunately, we only have the 2 transfers in the morning. Okay, there's just no getting around that. We had to pay for those, so we have to do what the majority of the group needed, which is morning departures. Therefore, if you are flying out at 2 p.m. or after, or any later time, you are welcome to make your own way to the airport. Okay, you do not have to take the transfer in the morning if you don't want, but it is up to you to pay for your own transfer to the airport. And the airport is about a 40-minute drive from downtown Sydney. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, so that is the tour.
Oh, hey, Lindy, somebody asked about 2 things. One, name of the hotel in Carnes, and then the other one was what day do they think the best day to book something at the Opera House? And I guess what I would say with the Opera House is just you need to go on their website and look based on the free days that we have that was laid out in the schedule here, the one free day. But there's not a lot of, depending what you like, there's not a ton of options that we could find. We looked and there was a couple smaller things. And the one thing we also found out about the Opera House is it's not just one opera house. There are multiple theaters within that complex. And so there's some that are very small venues and very intimate venues versus the large venues. So you have to really go to their website and look and compare it to the itinerary that we have.
And if you're going to do that, you're either going to want to do it on March 16th is the day that you fly from Cairns back to Sydney. And again, we'll forward you the itinerary, but you have a half-day tour that day, okay? So you'll have the balance of the day for free. So, and there's no dinner plans or anything that night. So if you would want to book an evening show at the opera, you would do it on March 16th. That is the only free night, okay? If you want to do it in the daytime, you have all day on the 18th. The 18th, you just have to be back at the hotel and ready to go by 6 p.m. Okay, so free time, second half of the day on the 16th, all day up until 6 p.m. on the 18th.
And just when you look, for me, when we looked, I got super excited because I saw this big Disney concert thing and I was super excited, but it's on the 15th. So my super excited sort of went very sad very quickly. It was ending, but it's okay. I'll get over it.
Sorry about that. That's okay. I didn't even realize y'all are going to be there during St. Patty's Day. I've heard it gets pretty crazy in Sydney, St. Patty's Day. Okay, the question was the hotel. I'm looking. It should be the Crystal Brook Bailey Hotel in Cairns. Crystal Brook Bailey. Again, they haven't told me different, so I'm assuming that the space is blocked for our group. If ever it has to be different, they find the same quality of hotel, same rating, everything. Again, they have a few hotels they always use. So right now it should be fine. Those were the 2 hotels that we were scheduled to stay at. Crystal Brook Bailey in Cairns. That's how you pronounce that, by the way. There's no R, it's Cairns. And then in Sydney, it's the Swiss Hotel Sydney. Okay.
Christy, I have a question again, Randy Gibson.
Yes.
Sue has a little bit of a diet issue. I can't remember on the tour that they asked me that question, but mainly she can't eat meat. So I'm sure there's a lot of fish in Australia, so it shouldn't be an
Yeah.
issue. But
Okay. So that was another topic I was going to bring up, which we can do right now. I need you all to email me this weekend if you're either taking a CPAP machine or if you have any dietary or medical issues that the tour company needs to know about. The cruise line should have asked you that during your registration. If you haven't informed them, you need to inform them. Or let me know if you can't find it or if there's a problem. But the tour company, you guys don't have a way to register that. So I need to know that so that I can forward that information to them right away. I will tell you on any included meal, there's always options and the chef will surely help, if you have a specific dietary request. But otherwise, there's always usually a basic chicken or meat or a vegetarian dish. So they're pretty good about what's included on your meals. But yes, please send me an email specifying exactly what it is so I can forward that information to them soon. Okay. All right, we've discussed luggage, we've discussed the itinerary.
I think somebody had a hand up.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had a bathroom and air conditioning on the tour buses.
As far as I know, yes. But again, you will not be on them very long. This is not like a lot of the other tour companies where you're going to have very long drives anywhere. It shouldn't be an issue. But yes, most motor coaches legally they have to have a restroom on board. Yeah.
Like when we go up there, like the Blue Mountains and stuff like that, I'm assuming those buses, if they're like most tour buses do.
Yeah. But I can tell you they'll be stopping quite frequently. It's not going to be, they're not allowed to even go, I don't think, longer than 2 hours on a drive. It might even be an hour and a half without making a stop. And it's usually a stop somewhere that everybody can get off and use the restroom. So, okay.
Question about the cans, snorkeling, submersible, or the lecture. Do we pay for that, or how do we organize that?
That's included. So the tour guide will ask you what your preference is or what you plan to do, and then she'll direct you on where to go that morning. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She'll give you that information right when you meet up with her the first day when you get on the bus.
Peggy has a question, I think.
Hi, Peggy.
How far is it from the hotel to the opera house?
Not too far. I would say less than 10 minutes because, again, the hotel's right in the main part of the city and everything. I mean, I was there 20 years ago, but, everything's just a 5-10 minute cab ride, from every direction, really. Definitely not more than 15 minutes, but I'd say about less than 10 minutes. It may even be in walking distance. I haven't mapped it out, but now that you know the name of the hotel, you're welcome to map it out and kind of get your bearings ahead of time if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Lindy, I'm sorry, what was the name of the hotel again in Sydney?
Swiss Hotel. SWISSOTEL. No H. Right. Swiss Hotel.
Thank you.
The next little topic was the electrical.
I think there's another hand up. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Marita, yes.
I had a question about the snorkeling. Are we supposed to bring our own snorkel?
No, they have it all.
Yeah. So, okay. So just maybe a swimsuit,
yes.
short or something.
Yeah. Remember, it's going to be warm. It's their summertime there. It'll just barely be getting into fall. So it'll still be fairly warm. I would start checking the weather now. Most of you leave in 3 or 4 weeks. So, it should still be fairly warm. You should. That's the other nice part about packing. You're not going to have to take a lot of heavy clothes, so that's a good thing. Yes.
Except we'll need them in the New Zealand on the boat, won't we? Wouldn't it be cold in New Zealand and hot in Australia? And out on the boat, on the cruise ship, is it going to be cold and windy?
Well, on any cruise ship, yes, you always take a light jacket for being outdoors because when you're out in the ocean, yes. But in port, no, it's their summertime too. It's opposite of us. So. Who had their hand up? Linda. Yeah. Oh, we can't hear you.
You muted, so maybe push space bar and mute.
Left-hand corner at the bottom if you're on an iPad or something.
There you
There you
go.
go.
Can you hear me?
Hi.
Okay. I'm confused on the checked baggage. It said the only dimension was 61 inches. That seems large.
You know what? I'll have to go back to the airline and see. Again, the only thing I can say is automatically most roller bags, just about any that you buy, are either 18, 19, 20, 21 inches high. So if you have the average 20-inch bag, then that's what you have. You know, that's take that.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything's going to be about the size. Okay. David, did you happen to get the
I did.
electrical plug? The electrical
Yeah, I
plug?
did. Let me share that.
Thank you. When you travel, remember the electrical outlets are different. The nice part is Australia and New Zealand is the same. It's a type I plug, which is a 3-prong plug. David's going to show you a picture of it here. So if you guys want to take a snapshot of that or mental note or whatever you need to do, this is the plug you're going to need when you're at the hotel in Auckland, as well as on the land tour in Australia. Okay. Now remember, an adapter will work for most of your electronics when it comes to like your iPad, computer, your phone. Okay, because those things are already dual voltage. But if you have to convert something, then that's when you need more of like the box style. It's called a converter. It's a box style, right? Because that's going to convert the watt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you need to do is think about everything that you are taking and do I need to plug it in? Okay. So the obvious example is usually a lady's curling iron. Ladies, you need to go to your curling iron and you need to look on the back of it and see what the voltage is. And it will state whether it's dual voltage up to 240 or if it's not, you need the actual converter, the little box to plug in. If it does say that it converts up to 240, then you just need the tiny little adapter that plugs into the plug part. Okay.
Scott was showing the little adapter. They're small. You can go on Amazon and I think it's a company. Yeah, that one. I think that's a little T-SAN one, right, Scott?
At your screen, David. You're still sharing the screen.
Let's see. I'm sharing mine, so let me stop sharing so they can see Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called a T-SAN is what I think it is. Scott's muted, but
yeah. So that right there, folks, what Scott is showing you is the converter, right? It's the bigger option. Huh?
No, that's just an adapter.
Well, that's awfully big. My adapters are not like.
Yeah, that's one that allows some of the adapters they're selling now allow you so you can plug in a simple computer and or you're charging for your phones and all that.
Okay.
And then your adapters, I guess I'll call your power converters is what they're called. Those are usually big rectangle boxes.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah. So again, it just depends what you're taking with. You know, if you have a CPAP machine, something like that, you want to look and see if you need the adapter or the converter. You know, maybe you're not taking anything else that you need to plug in. You wouldn't need it. You know, it just depends. Both the cruise line and the hotels, they all have hair dryers. So you don't have to worry about bringing a hair dryer with.
You need that.
Okay. Any questions on the electrical outlets? Okay.
Okay. John, is that John Peggy unmuting?
Question or no?
Question, John?
The plug outlet.
Unmute.
What?
Yeah, John's unmuted. Nope.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Lindy,
Yes.
it's Barbara. Do you know when you put the itinerary with the days and everything? Could we take pictures of that? Or?
It'll be recorded.
Yeah. Of course you can. Or print it. Yeah. Yeah, because it hasn't changed. So I'll send it out so that you guys all have that.
Yeah. And then this is being recorded, and we'll send out the link to a YouTube link to this, so you can go back and reference it if you need to.
Yeah. Okay. So the other big topic is your ETAs/visa, right? Is there anybody that has not got these yet? Okay. Do you need help, or have you applied, or you just haven't got to it yet? Or okay. Okay. So if you just haven't done it yet, please do that now, this weekend. Try, or get it done soon. Okay.
I got one.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Okay.
What I'd like right now, David's going to show you a scan again of what the New Zealand one looked like, as well as the Australia. So you just kind of have reference when you get your email. If you're making sure, do I do the right thing? Do I have the right paperwork? He's going to show you a copy of it, so you can kind of refresh your mind and double check your own stuff. That's the New Zealand one. So that's what it looks like on your phone, right? Once it's approved, or it says granted.
Me.
That's the New Zealand one. And then how about the Australia one? Oh, I'm sorry, David. Is that the Australia one? No. Wait, that's just New Zealand, right?
What's that flight aware thing on there with the airplane flying? We don't have that.
No, don't worry about that. That's just an app on David's phone. He kind of snapped a picture there. So give him a second, kind of looking for it. Oh, that is your Australia, isn't it? No, in the middle.
On the bottom.
David, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Oh, David, you're muted.
Yeah. So the Australian ETA is on the center photo here is what the apps look like. The bigger photos in the back to the left is what the New Zealand one looks like when it's approved. The center one is what the Australian one looks like when it's approved. And then that visa status is part of the Australian one. So
now, am I correct that you all received an email from them as well, stating
that you were emails? Let me find the emails.
Okay. So you all, once you did that, you should have received an email from the Australian Tourist Authority, whatever their name is, stating that you're approved or granted, and then same thing on New Zealand. Okay.
Yep. And these are a copy of the two emails that I got for mine. So, Mike, you have a question? You're muted, Mike.
David, I'm sorry. Were you going to show a copy of those?
You should be seeing the emails right now.
Oh, I'm not seeing it. Did you share your screen?
I did. Let me reshare it. Let me reshare. And I think Mike, you had a question, but you were muted. Mike, you're still muted.
No. Lindy, while they're looking, if we've applied for the New Zealand ETA and we haven't seen anything yet, and I don't see any menu on the app, can you shed some light there?
Which one again? The Australian one?
No, the New Zealand. We've got Australia.
The hard part is because I'm not applying for it personally, the app, I can't walk you through the steps. So you're saying you've applied for the New Zealand one, but it hasn't been granted yet, or?
Yeah, we applied for the New Zealand one 2 months ago, and I don't want to take up everybody else's time.
Okay.
We'll call you.
Okay. My suggestion for anybody that's having any type of issue with that is to email them right away. Email them. Okay. There should be some type of contact on both apps where if you have any problems or issues that you can email them right through the app. So start there, but yeah, feel free to give me a call.
Yep.
Okay.
David's done it all the way through, so he could probably answer slightly faster and better than me, but I'll be happy to help.
Remember that far back. Yeah. Mike, do you have your question?
Oh, Mike. Well, yeah, it is dealing with a previous subject when we were talking about getting the flight information to Princess for the flight to Cairns.
Yeah.
They're requesting the flight number. Do you have that information?
Oh, I'll find it. Sorry. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, I didn't put that on there. Let me, I'll find it and I'll email it to everybody with the itinerary today.
Okay, yeah, because I tried to put that information in there and they want the flight number.
They won't take it without. Okay, sorry. Yes, I'll get it over to you.
Okay.
Okay. Or if I find it right now while David's talking, I'll also tell you. So give me 1 second. David, you want to jump to the next topic in finishing the New Zealand visa.
The declaration?
Yes, the declaration. Thank you.
Yeah, let me go to that. All right.
So, once you got your Australia one, you guys are done, right? That one's good. But the New Zealand one is a little different in that you've all been given your temporary okay, but you have to fill out this passenger arrival card 24 hours prior to your flight. So David started looking into that a little bit. He's going to talk about that here.
Yeah, so, and we'll send this out, and this is actually a YouTube that I found. And so we'll send out the YouTube link, but I've got this, and we'll send this whole PowerPoint out to you guys. But basically, it's pretty straightforward. It's like any other, you'll do it online, because pretty much all of them are online now. And when you do your New Zealand, it will have a place for you in your New Zealand app to say, start your declaration or what have you. The key is there's some questions in here that are sort of tricky when they think about it, of just, the flight number, that's pretty straightforward. They want your seat, passport, all that. Use your passport to fill out the majority of it. There's one that'll say full contact or residential address in New Zealand. What they're looking for is your hotel that you're staying at. So you should have that information. I think in most cases, if Lindy hasn't, if she helped you book your hotel, she'll send out that information or have your hotel information. It'll go into other things of, why are you here type of thing, like what country did you spend the most most time? Which country did you spend the most time when you're overseas? That's if you're coming, there though. So it'll tell you what questions. This one, main reason for your trip, it's a holiday vacation, right? That's what it's going to be. Country you lived in, they'll ask you those type of things. For the last 12 months, it'll be other. if you don't live in New Zealand, you don't have to fill out those things. So don't try to be an overachiever and fill out other things that you don't need to. The one thing that I didn't know, Lindy, and I still haven't been able to figure out is when we say how long do we intend to stay in New Zealand, is should we be putting the date that we're getting on the ship or the date that is our last port in New Zealand?
The last port.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so
the
looking at the
first
cruise
day, yes.
itinerary, yeah.
Yeah. Look at the cruise itinerary. Obviously, when you get there, right, the day you land, not the day you fly out, but the day you land in Auckland, and then the last port. I'll look at that right now for you guys. Let me go back to this real quick while I have it. Your flight number. Everybody have a pen handy? Is 952. If they ask for an airline code, if they don't want the name, if they want a code, it's JQ for Jetstar, JQ952. Okay, that's what you'll give to the cruise line in your check-in process. Okay, all right. And then I'm going to look at your schedule.
One more time on the first one again.
JQ952.
I'm sorry, the first one.
That is the first one.
I thought you said a flight number, or if they asked or something like that.
952. That's the flight number.
Yeah, Jetstar 952. But it's JQ is their initials.
Yeah, is the code, the airline code. Yeah.
So the other thing in the pieces you go through, again, they're just, what I found in researching New Zealand a little bit is definitely the whole, ecosystem type thing they're very sensitive to. So they're going to ask you the list of countries you've been to in the last 30 days. If it's just been the United States, just put the United States. Make it simple. If you've been to other countries, put what you have. Do you know the contents of your baggage? I'm hoping everybody is going to say yes. Because if we're carrying stuff that we don't know the contents in our baggage, there probably is a problem. Then they'll start getting into stuff that you're bringing in, food, animal products. One of the things that, as I looked at it, when they talk about animal products, bones, if you had like a necklace that was made out of a fish bone and stuff like that, you would declare that you're bringing in something because they're sensitive to those type of things. It's, so it's any animal product type things, plant products. They start getting into, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me say something. Don't do it. Put no on every single thing and don't bring anything like that in because they can detain you and it can be a big problem with the smallest of silliest things that might be nothing to us, but to them it can be huge. So please do put no on everything and just don't bring anything with you that's even questionable.
Yeah. And that's what they even said in the video. Yeah. Biological stuff, they start getting into, equipment, clothing used with animals, beekeeping, they have all this stuff. So if you happen to bring stuff that I'm thinking we wouldn't, items have been used outdoors activities, again, they're talking more probably if you're bringing hiking boots and something like that, that's probably what they're going to be looking for there more than anything else. I'm not sure about tennis shoes, but the one thing, and a couple of places I looked at, is they said, especially with shoes, seems to be a big issue for them because if they have dirt in them and soil. So one of the YouTubes I saw just said, just clean your shoes before you pack them, and just have them ready. So just clean them. So again, I would say you're like no on those, but just clean your tennis shoes. You didn't hike in them. So, and then in the past 30 days, have you visited wilderness areas? So if you've been out doing things outside and interacting with animals, they're going to want to know that. But
and choose no, please. I'm not asking you to lie, but just don't put yourself in any position for them to question you on something like that. Again, you might say, "Oh, I was playing with my cat. I didn't think anything of it," but just put no on everything.
Yeah, it's going to make your life simpler.
Yeah.
Medicines. Again, if you're bringing over a 3-month supply, I wouldn't expect us to have a 3-month supply with us. So again, most likely, no. They'll talk about restricted goods. Again, these are all going to be no's. Tobacco, unless you're bringing that type of stuff in. Goods obtained overseas. if you're getting something over $700, again, including gifts, again, we shouldn't be bringing that much into New Zealand. So that should be no. Businesses carry for commercial use. That's if somebody was coming in to sell stuff. So again, that should be no. And hopefully we're not bringing $10,000 of cash. And then the one that sort of, if you have a New Zealand passport, and you're returning, then you go to question A. But again, we're not New Zealand citizens.
That should all be no.
Yep. And then, if you have to leave before your expiry date, are you, and or you'll face, so they're saying you have to leave before the expiry date of your visa or you face deportation. That's sort of the big thing they're saying. But are you coming there to give birth? I'm hoping that's no for everybody. And then this is the one that sort of gets, and Lindy, this is the one that I really looked at. I think it's a little tricky. It says, I hold a temporary entry class visa, or if it's attached. But I think our TSAs is just a travel authorization. So we don't hold temporary visa. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So I do not hold a visa and I'm applying for a visitor visa upon arrival.
Yes.
That would be yes.
Definitely, because that's basically saying I've applied for it like you guys have, and this is my last step. Remember, you guys were all questioning, why does it say it's temporary, it's not granted? This is the last step. I'm applying for a visitor visa on arrival. So you click yes.
Yeah. And that one when going through seems to be the trickiest one because people think, oh, I did the NZETA, and that's a travel authorization. So just keep in mind when you get to that question. And then, if you've been sentenced, prison, hopefully that's no for everybody. You're going to sign it and away you go. So that's a lot of it, but just take your time. You can go through it. I'll send the YouTube out. It was actually pretty informative. Just to help, just as you're going through, but you're supposed to do this again before, I think you do it before we get on our planes going there is the time you do that online.
Yeah. So please don't forget that. Make a note, reminder, whatever you have to do the day before you leave, you have to fill that information out.
Can this be done on your phone, Lindy?
I believe so. David
I believe so. I think that
because it's app,
yeah.
Right?
So when I did, at some point, I got with my NZTA. I think there was a link I could push for the New Zealand Traveler Declaration, and I was able to load that app. So this is, I think, connected to the TA.
Okay. All right.
I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure that that's how I ended up getting the app there for it. But it's a link that you can do online.
It's on your paper too that gives you the temporary granted status, your email from them, so you can look on that too. I know, Marley, you don't have that yet, but it's on there.
Yeah, and we're gonna be in Fiji, so we're not gonna have anything but phones.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Okay.
You should be able to do it through there. I believe, well, I don't want you to quote me on this, but I think even if you get to the airport, there might be somebody that can help you do that, because I know there's all kinds of people that show up at the airport and they forget to do this. So the airline rep will show you the app or how to do it or what to do, before you can get on the plane.
Okay.
Okay. Let me go back to my gallery view here. All right.
And just let you know, for people, if they're looking through the chat or whatever, Don and Julie put a link for the travel declaration in the chat too. So if you want to go into the chats, you can probably copy that link.
Okay. What else? I think that might be everything I had to discuss. If you have not, which I'm going to tell everybody this, if you have not completed your cruise check-in, you need to do that. Okay. And you do it through the app. If you don't have the Princess app on your phone, you need to get that and you need to complete your registration. If you haven't ordered your medallions yet, remember, choose the option to pick them up at the port. Okay.
And Lindy, I think one of the questions that was floating around before is when they when we get off from Princess, I think you sort of covered it, but just made is the Globus rep or whatever will be visibly, it will be able to find them, right? At
Yeah,
the getting.
there'll be a motor coach and she'll be right near it, right at the exit. Basically, once you grab your luggage and you've gone through customs and you walk out and go, where do I go? You look for a motor coach that says Globus. You know, if it's different or something, they will let me know in advance. But no, plus you're all gonna be together, I'm hoping. Okay, I'd really think that it's gonna be best if, again, once, we kind of don't know this in advance, but once you get on board a cruise ship, they will let you know towards the end of the cruise what time you're allowed to get off the ship and what your group is. They'll give you your colored luggage tags, but David's going to go there in advance and kind of say, hey, don't forget, we have this group of 80 of us, we need to kind of all get off together. So they might say, oh, let's have your group meet in such and such area. So kind of going to get more of that information once you get on board. But once you get off the ship, hopefully you're all kind of in line going together, or at least somewhat close. You get your luggage together or find it, go through customs kind of together, and then everybody's kind of maneuvering the lines and following each other to the motor coach.
Yeah, Scott I think has a question.
Sure.
Or another comment to the gal that was worried or that didn't get her visa granted yet. Go back to your application, scroll all the way to the bottom and push proceed or submit. We kind of failed to do that, and we were processing for a long time also.
Thank you for that update. Yeah, sometimes easy steps.
And then somebody else in the chat said, is it useful to get a SIM card for the phones?
Oh, okay. So that's different for everybody because everybody has different carriers. So I would call your phone company and discuss that option. Some of them have like an international plan where you just, I think when I'm going to use my phone quite a bit, it's like $100. It's a flat rate. You can use it as much as you want. Or I'm with Verizon, or you pay now $12 a day for unlimited use, whether it be Wi-Fi or calling or texting or whatever it is. So
I think if you have Verizon, right, with that, the international, if I'm remembering correctly, once you sort of take your phone off of airplane mode and you use it, they just automatically, or do you need to call them in advance?
You have to call them for them to trigger one button, and once you do it, it's forever triggered. So you should be fine. But I would at least call and double check. You don't want to get over there and not have service, right? Yeah. I mean, there's Wi-Fi everywhere, so you can always connect and use WhatsApp and those kind of things. But if you need to make a phone call or an actual text, or if you want to communicate to David in case somebody gets lost or simple things, you can do that. Plus your tour guide, whether it's a he or she, they will tell you what their app and cell phone number is. And you can always contact them through WhatsApp. They make that very readily available. That way, in case there is an emergency, you can't get back to the hotel, or you're an excursion, or you did something, or you missed the bus, or, you contact them and she'll be able to help you. So she'll get
Linda. Yeah. Linda Offit, I think, has a question.
Yeah.
Yes, someone else asked this question, and I'm going to jump on it because it hasn't been answered, I don't think. Okay. Most of the time when you're traveling, you're tipping either the bus driver or a tour guide or something like that. Do you know if they'll accept US dollars?
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, obviously they prefer their own money, but actually I think you get more with the US cash. So yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You want some local, that's fine. If not, sure, you can give them whatever. Yeah. Money's money, right? It works in the end.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. Hey, David or Lindy, Allison wants to know on the Princess app, where do we load that flight number that you gave us? She's been looking on the app for 20 minutes and we can't find the location.
It is I know it's an optional information. I will try to take a look and see if I can remember where. Because I got to still figure out where there's a piece in the check-in process that I suppose I haven't done, but we haven't figured out where to find it yet. So, but yeah, I know it's in a section of optional information when you were doing it. but I'll try to take a look, and if I
Okay,
can find it.
Allison found a spot that says onward journey, and it has a way to add another travel, but
Yeah, so when you get to the point where in the medallion app where it gets to you go in and it says, like, I think at the very front of the page it tells you it's 33 days, and then says all set, you're ready to sail. If you click into that, that'll say that's what they'll call the traveler information, and scroll down to the bottom. There's a thing called optional information, and it's add details of your travel arrangements. And I believe it's in there. I'm gonna go click and just check.
If you can't find it on the app, you can always go back to your computer and log in through Princess. And that's actually easier spot to load that information. You can go back and they have the tabs across the top that say, personal information, shore excursion, travel, flight information. So that might be an easier spot to find that, because whether you put it in there or in the app, it'll all connect together.
Oh, okay. Okay, wonderful. We'll give that a shot. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Randy. Marie had a question. She remembers something to do with the cruise with a blue line or a green line. We can't remember exactly what that is.
At the end, if you have completed through the app every single question they have, you'll get the green lane. If
that's what we have.
Missing one spot about anything, then you'll have the blue lane. So if you have the blue lane, you kind of have to go back through and go, what didn't I do? And it should give you a little list and have check marks next to it of green if you've completed everything. Sometimes it's as simple as having forgot to order your medallion. It's one little thing can trigger it to not be green. But if you get the blue lane, it's not that big a deal. If you forget something, they'll fix it at the port. Okay, it's just a matter of when you get to the cruise port, do I go to the blue lane or the green lane? The blue lane means you need a little bit more help. You haven't completed every single thing. Green lane's probably a little quicker because they'll walk right up, show my passport. Here's my medallion. Goodbye. Go get on the ship. So it'll be a little faster and easier. So.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Peggy.
I was wondering, what time do we have to be on the ship to start the cruise?
Well, they will start boarding anywhere from about 11:30 on. It pulls out at 7:30 p.m. So the absolute latest will be 1 hour prior. They generally want everybody on board by 6:30, usually an hour before. So that's quite late. I'm assuming most of you will go over there by noonish or something. I mean, you might as well have lunch on board, right? Don't pay for it off the ship. It's included. So try to get over there, I'd say no later than like 2, 3-ish. If anything goes wrong, you want to make sure you're checked in and on board the ship. So don't wait too long. Yeah. Anything else?
All good. Let's see, do we have a shuttle from the hotel to the dock? And I think we've said, and I think that from the shuttle from the hotel, it'll be, you talk to your concierge, depending what hotel you stay in, but they have Ubers over there. From what I was able to research, they don't have Lyft, but they have Ubers, and I believe they have taxis. So you can just check with your front desk of your hotel, and that's how everybody's sort of getting themselves to the dock from the hotels.
It's very close, so you can just kind of couple up with other people and share taxis, and it's a very close ride. So that way you can go over at your own convenience and just arrive when you'd like that day.
Yeah.
It's a half mile. We walked that far in England.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Well, some of us did. But yeah.
Mike has a question.
Mike, you have a question? You're muted.
You're muted.
You're still muted, bud.
Hit the space bar.
There we go. Got it. Okay. Actually, this is an answer to Dan and Allison's question on regarding the flight information on Princess. It's really simple to do. If you're on the PC, you actually just click on Manage Booking and then click on the link that says Flight Information.
Yeah.
And there's a tab right down there on the very bottom. It says you can enter your flight, all your flight information on that. It's very simple to do on the PC.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do, I think, about 3/4 of the stuff through your computer, but some of the ending stuff, there's certain questions that they ask on the app that you can't do on the computer. So if you have both, go on the computer first, go through all the tabs, enter what you can, then go to your app and see what's missing, which is usually the medallion and just a few basic things. So.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right. If we don't have any other questions, I say we wrap it up. Yeah, we've been an hour, almost an hour and a half. So thank you all for taking time to watch today. Like David said, he'll be sending this out so you can rewatch any part that you need. Most importantly, please don't forget right away, right now, if you can, send me any medical or dietary issues that you have, or if you're taking a CPAP machine, because I need to get that info over to them so they're kind of aware of what to expect.
Yep. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't wait till the last minute. Also, something that I'd read online is
one other thing. Sorry.
Before the night before you get on your plane, make sure you put eyeballs on things like your passports earlier, so you know where they are.
I hope you all have it in front of you now, or you know exactly where it's at. And if not, please go look for it, because if for some reason you can't find it, you'd have to order another one right away, and you don't want to do that last minute. So keep that in a very safe place up until your trip.
Yep.
And print everything out. I know people don't like to print stuff, but sometimes our phones don't work. So if there's certain things, that you're going to have to know or see or look at, when it gets closer, and if your phone's not working suddenly, it's sure nice to have that backup piece of paper, right? So try to print stuff out that you think you might need.
Yeah, I bring copies of our passports, and I have those in one folder. I have photos of it on my phone. I'm all about redundancy. So just it's not shocking. I'm a little anal retentive about these things, but it doesn't. It's always good.
Make sure to call your credit card companies too. I know nowadays a lot of us don't have to do that. If you travel frequently, they're pretty aware. But if you're not, if you haven't traveled out of the country in a while, they're going to be like, oh, what's your card doing in Sydney? So make sure to call them, make them aware. So your phone company and your credit cards, call them. Okay. And always take copies of everything. Your passports, make sure to print a couple copies of those. You take one in your luggage. Take one in your purse. You leave one at home with a family member. Take a picture of it. Take a picture of your credit cards. If your wallet or your purse gets stolen, hopefully your phone's still on you. You would at least have kind of a backup in your phone. You could call the credit card company right away. You could have a picture of your number. A lot of us have ways to turn our credit cards off within the app from your bank or your credit card if it does get lost or stolen. So kind of think about all that common sense stuff that we tend to forget about sometimes.
One thing that I'm doing is I'm parking my truck at my kid's house for a month. I'm sending them a picture of the truck with the license plate, my insurance, and all of that. Just because they'll say, if it gets stolen, they'll say, well, it was a white truck, and that's all they know. So if you're parking it at a friend's house, somebody needs to know what's there.
Yeah.
Two other things. There was a question I forgot to answer about mosquitoes. Yes, there can be mosquitoes in both countries. So if you want to take something with, great. Personally, something like that, I wouldn't waste the ounces in my luggage. I would buy it when I get there. There's some things we don't have to have with from home right away. You can always purchase, once you get there. Maybe you'll get there and you won't see one mosquito, so you will not have even needed it. But if you need it, you can always buy the little bottle there, and that way you're not wasting the weight on it, ahead of time. Secondly, I just forgot. Take a picture of your luggage. I just learned this the hard way. When I traveled recently, my luggage got damaged from the airline. So I learned a little lesson. You need to go file a report. Okay, first of all, if it gets lost, you have a picture of it, right? Exactly what color it was and what it looked like. You could show that to the airline. Okay, or if you had to email it to them, you could do that. Secondly, although, wait, back up. It shouldn't get lost because I prefer that you all put an air tag in your luggage. So if you haven't bought those or if you don't know what that is, it's a little medallion. It's kind of like the size of a quarter. It's called an air tag. And I believe those can be used with iPhone or the other phone, right? I think so. You put one of those in your luggage, even your carry-on, and you always know where it's at. You can track it on your phone. So even when you fly somewhere, if all of a sudden your luggage doesn't show up, you can tell the airline, hey, I see my luggage in Singapore. It's not here. But at least you can kind of track it, okay? But secondly, what I was saying about the picture, if something happens to your luggage, it gets majorly damaged. Mine got a big rip in it. It was brand new. I was really upset. You need to go file a claim with the airline directly right away. When you pick up your bags, go file a claim with them, because then you can turn it into the insurance once you get home. And that's a damage. That's a piece of damage. But they did ask me right away, well, did you file it with the airline? And I said, well, no, I was so mad when I got home and I was so tired. I just wanted to get home. But I happened to take a picture of it right then and there, but that didn't work. So you need to file the claim with the airline. Okay. And keep all receipts. If anything should ever happen, let's say your luggage doesn't show up and you have to go buy stuff to get you by, you have to keep every single receipt, okay? Because insurance, which I believe all of you have travel insurance, they give you money, you know, a per diem per day until you get your luggage for incidentals that you need. So keep all your receipts. If ever you have to go to a hospital or anything like that, call the insurance company right away. Let's say you're walking down the street and somebody trips and sprains their ankle and you're sitting there deciding what to do. Call the insurance company and say, hey, you know, I may need to go to a hospital. Is there one that's covered under this insurance plan? They will immediately look up your city where you're at and they'll tell you where to go. Okay, so you always have the insurance company phone number in your phone. So look that up in advance. Okay, the link is right on your invoices that I've sent you guys. It tells you the insurance company name that Princess uses. So it's important to have that handy. But you always call them first. But just take pictures, keep receipts, keep everything instant. I know it's hard to think of it at that moment, but if you're with somebody else handle that for you. You know, if you get hurt, you can't do it, but somebody else needs to kind of pay attention to that stuff always. Okay, I think we're done.
Very cool.